Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger. We've had our grill going for 75 years, and yep, it's still going. Whataburger, goodness 24/7.
It is week number 11 of this high school football season. That means it's the last week of the regular season. The playoffs start next week, and this is Friday Night Stars presented by Whataburger. Bill Jones along with Kyle Youmans here at the Globe Life Studios at the Star in Frisco, and we've got some district championships on the line this week, Kyle.
Almost every game we're talking about is either a district championship or there's seeding involved. Of course, there are a lot of games we can't and don't have time to get to that have playoff spots on the line in the final week of the regular season. It's come down to this. 10 weeks in the books. You got one more to prove it. Lay it all out on the line. I'm excited to see what Texas high school football has in store for the next couple of nights.
A little side note here. Cowboys didn't play on Sunday. You know how I spent my Sunday? Going through the high school football playoff scenarios. So you can text me and I will let you know if someone beats somebody, they got to win by 8 points in order to make the playoffs. I got it for you in my big blue high school football notebook. All right, let's get started with our game of the week presented by Whataburger. It's a district championship on the line as the Highland Park Scotties play host to the Midlothian Panther.
Yeah, how about this in District 7 5A Division 1? Highland Park won this game last year 38-21, but look at the Midlothian Panthers, 4-1 in district play. They're 7-2 overall, and they have a chance to steal a district title with a win. One of the best rushing attacks in all of Texas high school football. They're number 4 in the 5A DFW area, averaging over 277 yards per game. And it's not just one player that makes an impact on that roster. They have 4 different individuals that have tallied at least 350 rushing yards and at least 4 rushing touchdowns. Bo Wendell, Michael Archie, Jonathan Azuna, Kentravion King, all of those guys have made an impact. And then they have 2 other guys that have rushed for 200 yards themselves. So you expect the Panthers to hit the ground running, no pun intended. But on the other side for Highland Park, a top 10 team in the state. They're currently number 6 in the 5A Division 1 ranks. They are 8-1. Their lone loss to Rockwall Heath this year at home. Keep that in mind because this game being played at Highlander Stadium, where Highland Park traditionally has been unbeatable against Texas high school football opponents. But they lost at home already this year. They lost to Lone Star a couple years back to end a multi-year streak of not losing at home to Texas high school football opponents. They've got Buck Randall at the quarterback position. We've talked about him before, now sitting at 2,900 passing yards, 34 touchdowns. But really, I want to highlight the Scotties defense. They haven't allowed more than 14 points in their last 3 weeks. They are playing better on the defensive side of the football, and I think they'll have to play their best brand of football against that Midlothian rushing attack in order to secure a district title for the second straight year.
A legendary coach, Randy Allen, of course, one of the greatest in the history of Texas high school football. And on that defense, they only had one returning starter, their linebacker, Bo Jones, to start the season. It is always a senior-dominated team for Randy Allen at Highland Park, except at the quarterback position with Buck Randall, who's still just a junior. All right, District 5, 5A Division 1. Kyle Youmans has been talking about this game ever since they played last year. It's always a year-ender in the regular season, and it's always a good one. The Reedy Lions against the Lone Star Rangers.
Yeah, you expect Lone Star to be in this conversation, and really Reedy has been in the conversation the last few years. But after the Lions kind of pitter-pattered to start, it's good to see these two teams deciding District 5, 5A Division 1 again. I'll start with the Reedy Lions on their side of things. Lincoln Harn, nearly 400 yards per game on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense is going to be the key in this matchup because you look at what the Rangers bring to the table. Reedy's going to have to run and hit. They're going to have to put pressure on a sophomore quarterback, and they're going to have to get in the backfield quickly because the Lions may not have the same depth that they've had in the past, but they have some high-end talent, and their starters can certainly get it done. But let's talk about the number 2 Lone Star Rangers, 9-0 overall, one of the top teams in the state of Texas, primed to make another run. Of course, Coach Rayburn and company believe this is just as talented of a team as he's had in his time at Lone Star. The top offense in the area, 520 yards of total offense. Trey Wright has the sophomore star written all over him. 2,200 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, and they've got guys like Carice Hoyt, Davian Gross that they can get the football to. That's why the challenge for me is circled on that Reedy Lions defense.
And Carice Hoyt, a Baylor commit, Davian Gross, Florida commit. Tight end Ryder Mix and Oklahoma commit. That's the kind of Power 4 talent that they have for Lone Star. Lone Star, Jeff Rayburn's team, went 12-2 last year. They may go further in the playoffs this year. This could be a state championship contender.
Absolutely, and I think this is a wide open year in District 7 5A Division 1, in 5A Division 1 across the board. So with that being said, I think they can match up with anybody talent-wise, where maybe in years past they don't have the trenches or they don't have the skills players. They've got both of those this year. They're really, really good.
All right, let's go to the Class 6A ranks. We haven't talked a lot about District 8-6A all season long. That's because the 2 best teams in this district aren't playing each other until the last game of the season. District championship on the line as South Grand Prairie travels to Arlington Bowie.
Yeah, it's about time we talk about District 8-6A. Bill, I'm glad we're doing this today because when you look at South Grand Prairie, it's been some time since they've had a chance to win a district title. This is, with a win, would be their first district title outright since the 1992 season. What were you doing back in 1992, Bill?
I was covering the Dallas Cowboys in a Super Bowl that year.
There you go. That's been a long time.
First of 3 in a 4-year stretch.
There you go. And they pride themselves on the ground game as well. Josiah Lucas, the San Diego State running back commit, nearly 1,000 yards rushing, but his real calling card has been in the red zone. 20 rushing touchdowns this season. South Grand Prairie undefeated. They're looking to win that first outright district championship in over 30 years. Now, Arlington Bowie on the other side, they've been here, they've done that before. The Volunteers, of course, are a team that have won district titles. They have dominated in district play a couple times, and they've also won their last 6 games. 10 unanswered points last week to win against Lamar in the final quarter. They needed everything to get that one done. They did. It sets up a monumental matchup. Watch out for the Bowie Volunteers to make some noise and have something to say for South Grand Prairie trying to end a streak.
The number 1 passing offense in Class 6A in Dallas-Fort Worth, led by the quarterback Jaden Bibbs, the Bowie Volunteers. All right. We're going down to Class 4A this week for what a matchup in District 6-4A Division 2. The Sunnyvale Raiders, one of the best-kept secrets in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. They travel to Canton to take on the Eagles.
Yeah, raise your hand if you had Sunnyvale as a top 5 team in the 4A Division 2 ranks. I certainly didn't to start the year, but Sunnyvale and the Raiders doing everything they can to make sure that people remember their name. Kason Mopin at the quarterback position, 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, over 2,000 yards passing, helped leading the Raiders to an 8-1 record. They're undefeated in district play, and they've only had 1 game this year under 35 points. 1 game under 35 points, and that was a win for them back against Carrollton Ranchview in week 2 of the season.
And I bet that was a rain shortened game.
Absolutely. Right. It was a rain-shortened game, and it was one that they were playing up a division, and they still won that football game, 20-17 the final. That was the only time they've been held under 35 this year. This Sunnyvale team can score, but so can the Canton Eagles, putting up great numbers behind sophomore quarterback Court Ray. He's been solid all season long. They have had a streak of 4 straight games where they scored at least 59 points up until last week. They got the win, no doubt about it, put up 35 last week in the win, but they're trying to cap off a perfect regular season and win another district title in 6-4A Division 2.
And another thing on the Sunnyvale Raiders, I love that school. I had a chance to go out and cover their girls basketball team. Jill McDill, a legend in girls basketball coaching. It's a community that's just east of of downtown Dallas, basically, just this side of Mesquite. Has only been in existence since 2007, but they've got quite a tradition in all sports. In fact, they've got dual sport athletes going. It's great to see at the Class 4A level. In fact, for Sunnyvale at wide receiver, a DBU commit is their star wide receiver, Hudson Leonard. All right, we're just getting started here on Friday Night Stars. Up next, it's another one of those showdowns at the Star.
This segment was brought to you by Whataburger. Try the all-new Prickly Pear Raspberry Whata-Fresher, made with real raspberry. It's refreshing and ready for you now at Whataburger.
Showdowns at the Star. Tonight we've got Reedy and Lone Star, but on Friday night, how about this matchup at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco? Sulphur Springs against Panther Creek. Kyle Youmans, this is one of the toughest Class 4A districts in the state of Texas. These are two top 10 teams going at each other.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You look at Sulphur Springs, and we've talked a lot about great offenses in the area. Both of these teams certainly have that, but Sulphur Springs is another one of those really well-kept secrets. They're out there in East Texas. They're just kind of lurking, but they're taking down some of the traditional powers in the 4A ranks by outplaying them on the offensive side of the football. I really like what the Wildcats have done this year. They just continuously run the ball. They wear you down as time goes on, and then they have the ability to throw it if they want, but they really use it for late game scenarios. But on the other side, Panther Creek, this is a team that can throw it around all day long. The Panthers have one of the best air attacks in all of football. They're number one in yards per game so far at the 4A ranks in the division, or the 4A division. 450 yards per game so far. Bill, it's been impressive to see what Coach Surratt and company have going on with Panther Creek. Just that one loss so far to Salina, and even that was a game that came all the way down to the wire.
Yep, a one-score game. Salina, of course, top-ranked in the state of Texas, in the same district with Sulphur Springs and Panther Creek. It's going to be fun to see how far each of those teams go in the Class 4A Division I playoffs. As we mentioned earlier in the show, it's going to be fun to see how far Lone Star goes this year as well in Class 5A. And now here's some more on the Rangers.
I've been really pleased with our football team. You know, we're playing great offense, defense, special teams, complementary football. We all have each other's back and picking each other up when the other side's lagging, the other side picks us up. But we have so many high-level football players that we've been able to be pretty dominant throughout the season.
Here at Lone Star is very intense. Defense is always high energy. We want to bring the physicality to everybody, no matter who we play. We all want to dominate. It's a team effort as well. It's all not about us. It's all about the whole team as well.
At Lone Star, the defense, we're prided on physicality and bringing high energy to all the games, all the time. We're tight-knit. We're brotherhood over there on defense. So we do everything together. We trust each other. It allows us to play fast, allows us to play hard. So we pride ourselves on physicality and having high energy.
Wakeland, for us, they left a bad taste in our mouth last year, so we had a little chip on the shoulder coming to that game. Everybody was locked in, focused from my perspective of it, but the energy from that game was very live. We were ready to go and dominate, and we did that as well.
These kids have been together so long, from middle school all the way on up to here, and it's been really cool to see how they've grown together, how they've developed, just the camaraderie, and there's no egos, there's no selfishness. They just want to win and win together and win for each other.
You know what team knows a lot about Lone Star football? The Dallas Cowboys do. Just last month, they took on Marvin Mims, a Lone Star graduate, and the Denver Broncos. Upcoming, they got Ashton Genty the next game with the Raiders. And then, Nick Bolton on Thanksgiving Day is coming home, too. How about that?
A couple really good players from Lone Star in the NFL. And remember, Coach Rayburn believes that this team has some of those other next-level type players, those NFL-caliber players that are going to go play Power 4 at the next level. They are reloading again, and they are primed for another deep playoff run.
All right, speaking of Dallas Cowboys, Jason Witten's Liberty Christian team featured next on Friday Night Stars.
This segment is brought to you by Whataburger. Introducing the all-new Whataburger Bacon Wrangler Double. Big Texas flavor, made hot and fresh for a limited time, only at Whataburger.
Welcome back to Friday Night Stars. This has been one of the most competitive districts in the entire state of Texas, and it's coming down to the last week of the regular season with three teams, North Forney, and Rockwall Heath all tied for first place. Longview, which went all the way to the state semifinals last year at 3-2, and Rockwall at 2-3. And how about the game last week as North Forney comes from behind to beat Longview 56-55. Kyle Youmans, that's the second game this season North Forney has played that ended up in a 56-55 final score. They lost to Heath earlier.
Yeah, no scoregami in that East Texas matchup. And really, this was a fun game from the jump. Of course, the Lobos have so much history, but North Forney is a team that now, of course, has already clinched a playoff spot, but they've made a statement in 10-6A. Their point differential right now sitting at 276. The next closest point differential is Longview at 108. So they're beating teams in a big-time fashion. They had to come back and use firepower to put up 28 points in the third quarter to even make that game playable down the stretch. They certainly did. I think this is one of the more shocking districts in all of high school football right now, because North Forney and Forney, when they were realigned into this district, were afterthoughts next to Rockwall Heath, Longview, and Rockwall. Now one of those three teams I just mentioned will miss the playoffs because of what's at stake. It's going to be an interesting final week of the regular season.
All right, we've done 6A, we've done 5A, we've done 4A. How about we do TAPS private schools and check in on Jason Witten's Liberty Christian Warriors in Argyle.
We're here at Liberty Christian School, home of the defending TAPS state champion Warriors. Now, being the top dogs means you have a big target on your back. Luckily for them, they have a coach that knows a thing or two about football. In fact, most Cowboys fans are going to recognize this very familiar face. Father Time can take the man out of football, but it can't take the football out of the man. Former Cowboys tight end Jason Witten is the head coach at Liberty Christian, and he's loved every second of it.
I'm reminded every day why I fell in love with football. This is the purest form of it, and there's a lot of fun, and I live the dream playing professionally, but this age, everything's out there for you, and so to be able to be a part of this again has been humbling for me.
Last year, the Warriors brought home the TAPS Division I title. Only 6 starters on both offense and defense return, but the players say they have the right coach to lean on.
The development that I've taken and the steps that I've been able to take as a football player ever since I joined this team, mostly because of Coach Witten, are huge.
Since I've gotten here in June or July, it's been awesome. Just the amount of development, the amount he's taught me during my time here, especially coming as a new student. He took time with all of us.
That's been the unique opportunity. In the years past, we won a lot of ball games, and so I felt like I had to motivate them every day. And this team, I don't think needs that motivation. There's hunger inside of them. There's a lot of doubt. There's a lot of haters for them.
At the end of the day, Coach Witten hopes to give the life lessons he learned on the field to his kids. But he's still got that fire, and it's rubbed off on his players too.
I like to win just as much as anybody, and our loss week 1, I felt the same way in Green Bay when Dez caught it, and I think any competitor feels that way.
As the season's gone on, the guys have gotten a lot more comfortable. We got a young group of guys, and so just all that experience early through the year just really helped us out a ton.
Reporting at Liberty Christian School, Johnny Resendez, CBS Sports Texas.
And Jason Witten's son, Cooper Witten, one of the top junior linebacker recruits in the nation, unfortunately out for the season after undergoing foot surgery last month. We wrap up Friday Night Stars in just a moment.
Friday Night Stars, presented by Whataburger. We're celebrating 75 years of giving the people exactly what they order, 24/7. That's the Whataburger way.
Final minute or so of Friday Night Stars. Check out the District 7 6A standings. Richardson and Lake Highlands tied at 5-1. Richardson can win a district championship because of beating Lake Highlands last week if they beat MacArthur this week. Check out the overtime thriller. Richardson against Lake Highlands. The Eagles beat the Wildcats for the first time in 30 years, 21-15. And it was a touchdown pass in overtime that won it for Richardson.
Yeah, you got to feel for Lake Highlands, a team that was shut out through the first 3 quarters, puts up 15 points in the fourth quarter to tie it. They actually had a chance to win the game with a walk-off field goal as time expired, missed the field goal, turn around, had a play in the back of the end zone that was called out of bounds, and then on the first play, or 3 plays later in that first offensive possession for Richardson, they go ahead and go and score in overtime to win it. It was a crazy matchup, and that's what high school football is all about. It's controversial, it's fun, there's a back and forth, and that's why we love it so much. And I anticipate the same here in Week 11 as the regular season winds down.
And then next week, Week 12 means playoff time in Texas. We appreciate you joining us here for Friday Night Stars. For Kyle Youmans, I'm Bill Jones. We will see you again next week.